This pickup truck came in last night with the brakes overheating over here on this side, on the right side. Brake overheating, and it appears to be the brake line, not the caliper. And I'll tell you how I found the difference between the two as to which one the problem's likely to be. The over here on the driver's side, I was able to push with a pry bar or a big screwdriver. I was able to push the caliper in, compress the caliper with pressing on that like that. I'm able to gain a gap. See the gap here between the brake shoe padding and the rotor? That's the rotor right here. That's the brake shoe padding. This is the brake shoe backing, and that's one of the pistons. This is a 2-piston caliper. And if I can push that back, that's normal. And then as long as it's not too stiff, then I can turn this. The other side, I was not able to do that. On the other side, I was not able to push that out, and what I had to do, let me turn the wheel. I was not able to push this brake shoe or compress the piston by pushing on the brake shoe on this side until I put a drip pan underneath here and I broke loose the bleeder valve. Then I was able to move it, and then I could see the fluid coming out of this. It wouldn't go back up into the hose. It would only come out the bleeder valve when it was open. So that's what made me suspect that the brake hose is seized up. And so I went to the other side and checked it. You saw the gap over there. That one compresses with the pry bar. This side doesn't. So I closed the brake shoes back down. I stepped on the pedal hard a few times and got them all closed down. I came over here to this side, opened up the bleeder valve. 1 or 2 drops of fluid came out, wiped it off, and it took maybe a minute for another drop to come out. And I'd gravity bleed brakes most of the time unless it's a major job that I have to do and a lot of fluids coming out. I usually just do it by myself and I gravity bleed, and it's been working for me forever. So back to the other side, I cracked the valve open over there, and the fluid's dripping out like normal, just about a drop every 1 or 2 seconds, or maybe 2 drops a second. I don't know. It was dripping out like it normally should, but over here it wouldn't. So that tells me that the brake hose, the only other possibility, I mean, the hose is not even stiff, it's flexible, which is kind of strange. Usually a stiff hose will do that. The only other possibility is something in the ABS that I don't know about is keeping the fluid from coming out this side, or keeping it from being able to go back, because the caliper was seizing up, but it wasn't the caliper. It's the brake hose. It wasn't letting the fluid relax and go back up through the system. So I'm going to go ahead and change that brake hose, and going to change this brake hose on this vehicle. Doesn't really matter which kind of pickup truck it is, because the procedure's the same on all of them. But the first thing I want to do is, since this is in a clear plastic bag, before I open the bag, it's a sealed bag, before I open it, I'm making sure that everything on here looks identical. The mounting bracket does. I'm not showing that to you, but I already proved it to me that it's right. And the banjo end, which is this end here where my thumb is, goes down here. It looks identical. The new one does not have, it has this metal plate here, but it does not have this piece on it, so I'm gonna carefully get this off of there. There's the back side of it in there. Just gonna pluck that off and let that hang. This is the ABS sensor, and so we'll just get these things off of here because they're gonna go back on the new hose. And I got my line wrench set out here. I'm going to find the right size line wrench, break this fitting loose right here, break that one loose, and this is all looking good. Now, I sprayed this a while ago with penetrant before I went up to the parts store to get this, so that should all be ready to break loose and take off. This end doesn't matter, that's going to break off anyway. I mean it's going to you know, we're replacing all of that anyway. The banjo, I assume this has a banjo screw in it. They usually do. You know what? I don't see a banjo screw in here. There might be one hiding in there. There usually is. But I always save these banjo bolts anyway from other jobs in case I am in a situation where I got to reuse one and maybe a new one doesn't come with one like this. So when they do come with new ones, I always save the old ones. And I even save the copper rings if they're not shot. Now that I've made sure that I got the right part here, I feel safe opening the bag. And I'm cracking bolts loose here. I popped another one of these things. These are zip tied on, but it's a special zip tie fitting. So it'd be hard to use a regular zip tie on it, which you can if you have to, but it won't look exactly the same. So this is cracked loose. Put it back on there again because I don't want fluid dripping out and air going in. I don't care about air getting in the caliper because it'll bleed right out the top, but I hate it when air gets in these lines up here, especially with ABS, because it can be tricky to bleed it all out. So when I get that nut broke loose off of there, I can go on ahead and knock this clip in the back here, knock that off with a screwdriver, just tap it on both sides and knock that off of there, and then the hose will come out the bottom. Well, it will when I get this bolt off here on the frame. Got this out of the bag, and it has another bracket in the middle that I didn't even notice, and it goes right here, and I already broke that bolt loose, and this is broke loose, this is broke loose, this is off, and the banjo is broke loose. And I don't like taking these brake lines off and letting them drip. That's one of the reasons I'm leaving the cap on the master cylinder. I'm leaving the cap on over there. It kind of helps draw a vacuum a little bit so that the fluid doesn't run out too quick. And another thing that's in my favor here is this brake line, the steel brake line. We're opening it up here, so any air that goes in that line by fluid slowly dripping out and air going back in behind it is going to stop right up here on top, because it goes downhill from there, way down. And so as long as there's no vacuum pulling it back up into the master cylinder, the air can't get any higher up the line than right here. It can't go downhill. So that's in my favor. But I will end up with air up in this part that will have to be bled out. So we'll get to that when I get the new line on there. But in the case where the line is going to be dripping and you can't really close it off very good at that point, and you got to hurry up and stop air from getting in and fluid from running out, you can get a set of these. They're cheap. They come 3 different sizes to clamp on one line. This one's a 1/2 inch, is what it says right there. And it's got a stopper on one side, spring loaded. Your brake line goes in behind this part here. And they, that's half, this is 3/8, same design, 5/16, same design. And this one is a bigger one with a a stopper on both sides, and that's for your banjo. You put that on your banjo and stop that while you're working on a caliper or something. Got this unbolted over here. This line is cracked loose and it's fairly free. I just snugged it down a little bit. I'm going to put that up there. I don't have to knock this retaining clip off of there because this one comes with a new one. I'm going to put the banjo on first, and then I'll take this off and go ahead and put this on up there. I got my two new copper washers. I'm going to put those on either side of my banjo bolt, or both sides of the banjo fitting, and the bolt goes through that. Got all that changed over real quick, and I'm pushing these little things back in, and this one goes on. I'll have to slide this rubber thing up or slide this down so it fits on that one. I'll get that when I have two hands free. Now I got to open up the bleeder valve and start pumping the brakes. We're going to have air running out of that for a while, but I'm going to pump it a little bit till we get some air, because each time you pump it, it's going to suck a little bit more air back in when the piston in the master cylinder goes back. It's going to just kind of work its way down like this each time you pump. Okay, I gave it about 4 good pumps without even starting the motor. I just pushed it down, and as you can see, the fluid is continuing to siphon down into the bottom of the caliper, and then it's going up to the top and running back out. So there is no air left in it. Oh, and I also loosened up the cap on the master cylinder before I did that, because I don't want any vacuum up here siphoning the fluid back up. So now I just gotta almost top this off. I'm not gonna, there's the maximum line right there. You may not see it, but it's embossed in the plastic. I'm not going to fill it all the way up to there. I'm going to go about halfway, because I'm not putting new brake shoes on it. If I was, then too much fluid in there will run out the top when you squeeze the pistons back to put new brake shoes in. So we don't want too much in there. So I'm going to put a little bit in there, and then this job will be done. Just put the tires back on it. Just to show what happens to these brake hoses, somewhere along the inside of it, it'll swell up because of the, I guess because of the brake, the pressure from the brake fluid is forced into the inner linings, inner parts of the hose, and forces it to, it just kind of pumps it up and makes it swell up, and it ends up closing the passage in there. And so I don't know if you can see me or not, but I got this cleaned off with brake cleaner so that I don't get the bitter taste of brake fluid in my mouth. But I'll hold this end of it, the banjo end, close to the camera so the microphone will pick up if any air is coming out. I'm going to blow hard through this. You can watch my cheeks swell up like Dizzy Gillespie on the trumpet. And I'm not getting any air to come out of it. So that's what happens to them.